Hello everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar. We will just wait for one more minute so that we can wait for some more people to join the call. Meanwhile, if you have any questions, you can also let us know. If you're facing any connection issues or you're unable to hear us, please let us know in the chat. All right. Thank you. All right. I guess we can start. Can you see my screen? Huh. All right. Thank you everyone for joining. So today we are discussing about EPDs. We are going to have our client APAR Industries talk about their journey of EPD generation. So we have two speakers. One is Mr. Rahul Galgate. Um, uh, he is the product design and sustainability manager. Okay, and we have Mr. Madan Mohan Padi, who is the quality control and sustainability manager for the conductor division at APAR Industries. Um, I'm also joined by my colleague Mohammed. Okay. All right. So today we will be talking about, first I would give you an introduction to one-click LCA, and then we will have the case study by APAR, which is done by APAR. So there will be an introduction to APAR Industries. Next is the cable industry context, the impact on sustainability goals as a result of producing EPDs. And I would take over and we will talk about the rules of creating an EPD, how one-click LCA helps you get EPDs in a streamlined fashion. All right. So I will give you a brief introduction into One-Click LCA. One-Click LCA, we are the world's leading construction and manufacturing LCA software. We have three verticals of tools. The first one is building design and construction. So you can do an LCA for any buildings you might have, even if you are attempting any of the green building credits, such as LEED, BREEAM, or IGBC. You can also do the LCA for that. IGBC has a new requirement for net zero, in which the LCA is mandatory. So you can use our software to do the LCA study for that. Similarly, you can do an LCA for infrastructure projects, such as if you're working for projects such as road, bridges, tunnels, you can do an LCA. So we have different types of tools for that. You can use the BREEAM infrastructure, past 2080, any of these you can also work on. For manufacturing, which we are going to talk about extensively today, you can get a product LCA and get it third-party verified EPDs. So we have global data. So one of the common questions that I get is, do we have data for India? We do have data for India. And we work with some of the biggest manufacturers, architects globally. We also provide training. So even if you are doing an LCA for the first time, you do not have to worry. We will help you through the process. Okay. One-click LCA, we are an aggregator of data. So we have data from different sources. So we have EPD data from EPD International, EPD Hub. We also have generic data from EcoInvent. All of our tools, like I mentioned, for building LCA is also compliant with various green building standards such as LEED, BREEAM, Living Building Challenge, Green Star, Green Mark. Any of these you can work on using the software. A brief introduction into what an EPD is. An EPD is a document which transparently communicates the environmental performance or impact of any product or material over its lifetime. Okay, so what we are trying to understand is what is the environmental impact as a result of producing this product and using this product. Okay. So typically, I'm sure anyone who has seen our website is quite familiar with the life cycle stages of any of like of a building or of a product. So what in an EPD, what we are trying to analyze is A1 to A3, that is raw material extraction, transport to the manufacturing site, and manufacturing itself. Now, according to the new regulation of EN 15804 plus A2, you have to also document end of life. That is what happens to your product at the end of life. This is a typical life cycle of a product. So you have A1 to A3, A4, A5, C B1 to B7, that is the use phase or operational carbon in a building. All right. Uh, so, how we like to think about a very simple analogy of what an EPD is like how you get the ingredients to bake a cake. All right. So, if you have a cake, so you need ingredients. So that is your materials. Like for example, over here the raw material extraction A1. Okay. So in a cake, it would be flour, eggs, butter, sugar. All right. Second, you need, so each of these element, I mean, or these ingredients also have a calorific value. All right. If you look at it in an EPD perspective, it is called embodied carbon of that material. All right. Now you take all those ingredients and then you use resources like electricity, water to bake the cake. That the same analogy can be used even for a product. So in the product you have bill of materials, like whatever you have materials, if it is concrete, steel, you have a set of raw materials that you are using. So that is A1. A2 is basically the transportation to your manufacturing site, and A3 is the actual manufacturing process. So, to put it in very simple terms, it's just an analogy. Of course, through the hour that we are discussing about EPDs, we will go into a lot more detail. All right. So if you have to look at an EPD, you can also use it in terms of a food label that we have. Okay. So this is an EPD, that is where you see environmental impacts such as GWP, ODP, things like that. All right. Now this is like a nutritional label. So there are a lot of comparisons that you can do between a nutritional label and an EPD. So first of all, in a nutritional label, typically what you would see is serving size. Serving size is 1 cup, for example, in like a food product. In an environmental impact, it's called declared unit. All right. So you are declaring that 1 kg of something has this much impact on in the environment. All right. And calories here is A1 to A3, that is only GWP. Okay. And similarly, just like you, not just calories, you have also other nutrients that are there in a food product. Similarly, there are other environmental factors like acidification, eutrophication, formation of ozone. So these are just analogies to simplify the process for you. All right. Okay. So next we will have the case study by APAR. But before we hand it over to APAR, I would I would like to you to answer a poll which I have added right now. Come on. Okay. So I have added the poll. All right. So I'm going to give you like 5 minutes to just answer the poll really quick before we get started with APAR. All right. So I'm just going to take a couple of seconds while you answer this. Similarly, if you have any questions also, please do put it in the chat box. All right. Um All right. Okay. I guess we have a lot of votes. You will have multiple opportunities also uh, to give your vote for the poll. So please do take advantage of that. Meanwhile, we can hand it over to APAR. All right. Mr. Rahul, you can start if that is okay. Can you hear me? All right. I think Mr. Rahul and Madan are facing some technical difficulties, but I will start while they join instead of wasting everyone's time. All right. So, first, we will start with the EPD case study. All right. I will give you an introduction into APAR. All right. APAR Industries is a conductor company. They are one of the largest cable companies that we have in India. It has transformed into a $1 billion conglomerate. So they have multiple divisions also now. So they have power transmission conductors, petroleum specialties, and cables. They are one of the largest organizations in power solutions. They have been in the industry for 6 decades. They have a lot of other impressive specifics. APAR's main reason for doing an EPD is for reduction of carbon emissions during manufacturing as well as through the life cycle. The ability of their product to sustain to extreme environmental and weather conditions. They also have an ROHS certification, that is hazardous life and hazardous substances and directive. They also have extended product life development or biodegradable products, which is also very impressive. This is a direct quote from them, that is, we demonstrate our concern about the environment through innovative product design, which maximizes the impact on the environment. We have expanded our sustainability approach to our existing range of product portfolio. This is subject to regular review using specific sustainability criteria. I see Mr. Rahul has joined.
Yeah, Rahul is trying to join, myself
All
joining.
right. All right, please, you can continue, Madan.
Okay. This is 9 hour slide. Okay. So can you go just one slide before? Yeah. So we have there in a conductor division around from 1958, and we have our oil division, cable division, and also conductor. So around in our total plants we have employees of 1600 and workmanship around 4500. Total it is 6100, and we have more than locations in our factories. Next. Yeah, so as we are a global player, we always up to date to the world scenario. Nowadays, it is not an option whether we go for sustainability or not. We have to have, and before that also, APAR has many initiatives.
I'm so sorry. I think Madan is having some connection issues. All right. We will go ahead with the next slide. Right. So APAR has successfully submitted and verified and published four products. They have the AL59 conductors. They have aluminum wire rod grade of 1350. So you can find all of these EPDs, which are publicly declared on EPD Hub as well as on apar.com. Okay. The next topic that we will be talking about is cable industry context. Okay. Uh, so to the some of the common hurdles that clients face while generating an EPD is that they are unable to get raw material information or plant data correctly. All right. So similarly, even the cable industry, we are talking about cable industry here mainly because APAR is a cable company. All right. So the main sort of problems that they faced on their EPD journey is that they have a complex product composition. So so cables often consist of multiple layers and materials, including metals, plastics, insulations. Each of these have its own environmental impact. Like I said, with the cake example, like butter, eggs, and sugar has its own calorific value. Similarly, every raw material that you are going to use in your EPD will have its own environmental impact. That is called embodied carbon. So, accurately capturing and assessing the environmental data for these diverse materials is challenging. And data collection across supply chain, because you are a huge company, you have multiple products, you have multiple employees, and extensive supply chains with the components which come from different suppliers or they come from different countries. Gathering accurate data and consistent environmental data from these suppliers can be difficult, especially when data transparency is lacking. If your supplier has an EPD, that is golden situation. All right. Now, if your supplier does not have an EPD, then you have to rely on generic data. All right. So we also have a lot of generic data that is available. So because EPDs is a fairly new concept in the Asian region, so many manufacturers use a lot of generic data as well. So we will also our support team will also help you to understand how to pick and choose your data which is accurate to your manufacturing situation. All right. So the cable industry has its own complications. APAR decided to produce EPDs for their cable products because of the growing demand for transparency and sustainability in the construction and manufacturing industries. Their clients were increasingly seeking environmentally responsible suppliers, and having verified EPDs allows them to demonstrate their commitment to reducing environmental impact. This decision has significantly impacted their business strategy by positioning themselves as a leader in sustainability within the cable industry. They're probably one of the few cable industry giants in India who have EPDs for their products. Some of their environmental highlights in their manufacturing sector is that they were able to increase their renewable energy consumption by 7.3%. They were able to decrease their water consumption by 13%. They were able to increase their energy intensity for their cable and decrease their energy intensity for cable and manufacturing process by 4%. Also, they were able to decrease their scope 1 and scope 2 emissions by 4.8%. All right. Uh, so, Madan, you have joined the call. Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah. Somehow disconnected. Okay, so you have explained that.
Yeah,
We'll go for
you
next.
can start from this slide.
Okay. So APAR has taken the initiative to first the special product, our AL59 conductor. We have the
Okay, sorry about that. I guess they do not have a stable connection. We will keep trying until they join us. All right. So meanwhile, I will continue with the presentation. So APAR is the first company in India to release EPDs for their AL59 conductors. They have produced the AL59 conductor as per the EN 15804 plus A2 standard, which is also compliant with the ISO 14025, ISO 21930 standards. All of these standards we will explain at the end of the presentation also. Okay, so just to understand, the main standards, that is the umbrella standards, is the ISO standards. So ISO 14040, 14044, and 14025, they are the umbrella standards. ISO 21930 is the standard for building construction products. EN 15804 plus A2 standard is the European standard. All right. So just an overview. I will go into much detail at the end of the presentation as well. Okay. Um, okay. So we will move to our next part of the slide, which is probably the most important slide, how they have associated with one-click LCA. All right. So first of all, APAR understood that there is a client requirement, that is their customers, whether it's the export market or whether it's the Indian market. They understood that the clients are asking them for environmental transparency. They are asking for more sustainable products. They're asking for products with EPD. So this is what we see not just in the cable context but also in other industries, because having EPDs is becoming extremely important for clients. Also, if you're using the EPDs for green building certifications, they give you additional points. So these are some of the reasons that a client might come to you to ask you for an EPD. All right. So it makes sense that you generate an EPD because there's also implications of losing business. All of these things are there. And of course, an EPD helps you understand in your product development process what is the most carbon intensive or environmentally intensive stage of your product development. All right. So the first stage was they identified the customer requirement. Okay. Second is they understood that they have to develop sustainable products or environmentally friendly products. Then of course they took a subscription with one click LCA. With one click LCA, what happens is that when you buy the software with one click LCA, we have various ways in which we sort of jumpstart the EPD process. Okay, first of all, we have something called a pre-verified EPD generator. So pre-verified means that we have templates with data points that are already pre-verified by the program operator. Now, the program operator here will be EPD Hub. Okay, basically, a program operator is someone who where you publish your EPD. I will again explain all these complexities towards after this section of the presentation. Everything will be explained in detail. All right. The second way we have, where we jumpstart the client's journey to get an EPD, is that we also provide uh, training. Okay, so when you purchase the subscription with One Click LCA, there will be an EPD mentor that is assigned to you. Okay, the EPD mentor will help you from 0 point, that is from data collection to modeling your product to mapping your plant data with One Click LCA data points. They will help you through and through. And we at the end of the onboarding process, it is a hand holding exercise for anyone. Basically, anyone who buys a subscription, you will go through an onboarding process. It's a hand holding exercise where at the end of it, you will have an EPD report, you will have an LCA report, you will have an LCA generated, like an LCA model generated. After that, it is only about getting your product verified by the program operator. That is pre-verification. So when you like, I don't know if you remember. So when you get the results from One Click LCA, it is literally a table of environmental impacts. Okay, the then it's called a product LCA, and once you get it third party verified, it becomes an EPD. All right. So that is the journey that that APAR also has gone through. So they have published APAR's first EPD was for AL59, which was published in 2021. In 2022, 2023, they have published 3 EPDs, and 2024 they have many more EPDs to come. Okay. All right. There are 3 parameters to consider. First of all, you have to define the goal and the scope of the assessment in accordance with the PCR. That is, every product has to follow something called a product category rules. So you have to decide what is your goal and what is the scope of the assessment that you want to do. Okay, so if you and what are the products? So usually what clients do is their most competitive products or most sold products, they get EPDs for those first. Okay, but there are few clients who are very environmentally conscious and have gotten EPDs for their entire inventory. All right, so if you are a client like that, you can do that as well. Next is to collect and analyze the data. All right, which products EPD is being calculated, what is the declared unit. Okay, like I said, in the environmental, in the nutritional labeling, like for example, 1 cup of some of the food product has this much calories. So similarly in your product, if like for example in this case it's a cable, so you would say that okay, 1 kilometer of my product, this is the environmental impact. All right, so you have to find out what is your declared unit or your functional unit. Next, you have uh, the actual the you once you put all of this data into the software, you will have something called background information that you have to fill up. That is basically your plant data. All right. So you fill up all the plant data and the allocations, scenarios, end of life strategies, all of these things. So you establish the service life. So typically for a cable product, you can say that it lives for 60 years. So that would be your service life. All right. System boundaries. So this defines the unit processes to be included in the system model. All right. So you have to define, like, okay, let's say if they're going for AL59, what is the system boundary that they are going to follow. All right. Then next you have the data selection and the quality. So data selection and the quality should also have like geographical representation and the time also, and the life cycle inventory analysis. So this for your first product, you will also have mentorship that is offered from One Click LCA. Okay, we will help you how to convert your plant data into One Click LCA data points or LCA data points. All right, then of course you have allocation, that is different suppliers have different designs or they have different products. So let's say you're using a supplier whose material, like his end of life process, that is his process, your supplier process, produces two products. So they are called co-products, and one of the co-products is your raw material. So then you have to have allocation factors for that. All right. So an EPD is a highly scientific document. It's like a mathematical calculation. All right. So you need to have proper data. So you also need to have the proper level of awareness and capability. So that is where the mentorship, and that is where having an easy software to use like One Click LCA plays a big part. Right. Um, Okay, so like I said, when you look at an EPD or the table that you get from One Click LCA looks exactly like this. All right. Before you get it third party verified, what you get is called a product LCA. Okay. So once you get it third party verified, it becomes an EPD. Okay. Does okay? I think. All right. So, what are the impacts on sustainability goals for APAR? Okay. Now, for example, an EPD is valid for 5 years. The reason that it becomes valid for 5 years is that the understanding is that, okay, the producer has produced an EPD and these are the impacts. All right. The understanding is that in the next 5 years, the producer or the manufacturer is going to make changes so that their A1 to A3 emissions get reduced by delta. All right, that is the understanding. So producing an EPD automatically impacts your sustainability goals because you are able to see for yourself that, okay, my supplier, for example, has is what he's giving me as a raw material is very carbon intensive. Okay, maybe I have to switch suppliers, or maybe my A3 emissions is very high, so maybe I can switch to solar. So all of this information is also given to you. So producing an EPD is one of the benefits. Like, it's a commercial benefit, of course, but it is also like an important document for you to understand what is your environmental impact and how you can reduce it, right? So so most of the companies that we work with, once they produce their EPDs, automatically we see that their sustainability goals over across their production systems or across their company systems changes. That is, there is a significant impact on their sustainability goals. Like, for example, right now this is a document from their um, this is the document from their leadership. That is that they have produced EPDs. They have successfully produced EPDs and are able to achieve their targets. So their impact on sustainability goals is from their sustainability report. This is what I found out. So they have reduced their scope 1 and scope 2 emissions. Okay, even though their production has increased, their embodied carbon has not so much. It's not significantly increased as much as it should have, because the EPD document tells you, where your highest emissions are, and you can also the smart thing, of course, is to take that information and work on it to reduce your impact. So they're able to reduce their CO2 emissions across all their industries: oil, cable, conductor, totally. All right. So they're able. So right now they're sitting at like 4 million ton, I think, is there 4 tons of CO2 emissions. So yes, so this is about APAR. Unfortunately, because of connection issues, they were not able to do this presentation themselves. But before we go into rules of EPD creation, right? I think we can take another poll. I will add another poll. Okay, so I have added another poll for you. That is, would you like to generate automated and cost effective, efficient EPDs with one-click LCA. If you would like to do so, please do click on yes, and we will contact you with all the information that we have. All right. So I'm going to give you 2 seconds while you do that. If there are any questions, I will also look at the chat. Okay, there are none. That's great. If I am interested in having an EPD, what should I do if my EPD has a negative impact on sustainability, such as harming nature? All right. Satya Prakash, I will take your question towards the end. I have read it. All right. Okay. So we will go to the next topic, which is rules of EPD creation. Okay. All right. So EPDs are governed by regulations. All right. So the first regulation that we have, of course, is the. Can you still see my screen? Okay. Yeah. The first regulation or the ISO standard that we have is the ISO 14040 or the ISO 14044. So these are LCA standards for any product. Okay, so you can do an LCA for anything under the sun. You can do like an LCA for bread, you can do an LCA for a concrete block. All right, now the ISO 21930 is the standard that is there for building products. Okay, and then there is also EN standards, that is the European standards, that is EN 15804 plus A2 standard for EPDs. Okay, now the program operate, now that is about this aspect. All right, so you can think of ISO as an umbrella, okay, with all their standards, and then you can think about the European standard as a slab that is below this umbrella. Okay, and once you have this EN 15804, there are multiple program operators. Okay, now the program operator is basically a body. There are probably 50 of them right now. So the program operator is basically a body where they tell you how to produce your EPD. Okay, and what are the rules to produce produce your product's EPD. Okay, and they also have a publicly accessible EPD. I mean, EPD library. All right. So the program operator has something called general product instruction, program instructions. That is the basis on the overall administration and operation of the product. Okay. Now, product there is program operator is guided by two documents. One is the GPI, that is the general program instructions, and the second is the product category rules. All right. Now, for example, every product has its own rules. Okay. Now, if you are, let's say, like a cable manufacturer itself, okay, if you are a cable manufacturer in the US, your metric use of your material will be, miles, for example. Okay, but if you are a cable manufacturer in India, it will be meters or kilometers. So that there is common ground on how you would compare X product with Y product. That is the reason you have product category rules. Okay, so product category rules basically streamlines all of these regulations for you, so that you, whether you are producing a product, whether you're using as an end user, if you're using a product in the US, or whether you are using a product made in Vietnam, you are able to compare the two products together. Okay, so that's what product category rules does. Okay, so it's called a PCR. Now, there are different types of program operators. There are almost 50 of them. There is, like, for example, there is international EPD system. Our software is pre-verified for international EPD system, as well as for EPD Hub. Of course, for international EPD system, there are certain regulations, and you will have to do the verification yourself. But for EPD Hub, it is very streamlined with us because we work extensively with EPD Hub. So if you are planning to publish your EPD on EPD Hub, we will help you from point zero to getting your EPD at the end of it. All right. Okay. So EPDs, they help you to declare your life cycle impacts over a period of 60 years. Okay. Now, like I said, the EN15, the ISO 14025, 140, or the one ISO 14044, they are all the umbrella standards. They are the big bracket of LCA standards. And the EN 21930 is basically for construction products. Sorry. Okay, and the EN15804 plus A2. Right now, there has been an update to the EN15804 plus A2 where you have to declare what is happening to your product at its end of life. Okay, so you have A1 to A3, that is manufacturing process, and end of life. That it is mainly a reason for manufacturers to understand there, because it also talks about extended producer responsibility. All right, you have to understand how your product is going to degrade. Okay, so all right. Now EPDs are used worldwide. Okay, everyone uses an EPD as of now. With green building systems also propagating their use. So EPDs in North America, they also have certain geographical characteristics. EPDs, like for example, the EPDs in North America will use Tracy database. All right, whereas the rest of the world will use CML. Also certain indicators that are there in the EPD that is produced in North America slightly different from what is produced in rest of the world as well. For example, even if you are producing EPDs to be used in Australia, then you have additional indicators like human toxicity, water pollution, cancerous, environment, air pollution. All of this information has to be declared in your EPD if you are producing the EPD to be used in France. Okay, so they have their own database. It's called INEAS. Similarly, I believe even for Netherlands, there are certain additional indicators. So you have the 12 indicators according to the EN15804 plus A2. Along with that, you have like an additional table of other additional environmental impacts. Okay, so you might want to look at that. So that's why it is very important as to where your EPD is A, being produced, and B, where it is being used. Like if you're manufacturing here and your end user, that is your client, is sitting in North America, that means they want North American compliant EPDs, right? So that information also has to be given to us so that we understand what is the best way forward for you. All right. Okay. So there are different types of EPDs. Okay. So the first one is what we talk about, third party verified. It is the parent EPD. That is, you use all applications and you have 1 year production data. All right. Now, 1 year production data is required for an EPD. All right. Let's say you do not, if you do not have an 1 year production data, you can go for something called a design phase EPD. All right. The first EPD that you see here, this is valid for 5 years. Okay, the third party verified EPD, that is the parent EPD, it is valid for 5 years and should have 1 year production data. All right. Next is the sister EPD. That is, you have very similar products. Okay, you have very similar products, and instead of producing like a full-fledged EPD, you can produce a sister EPD. Of course, here between product A, there are certain regulations set by the program operator, like I said, PCR and GPI. So there is a certain regulation, that is the variance between A1 to A3 for product A, that is your parent product, and your sister product should not be more than 50%. Okay, so that is what sister EPD would be. Design phase EPD. Let's say you are a startup company, okay, and you do not have 1 year production data, then you can use something called a design phase EPD. But the validity of the design phase EPD is only for 18 months, as opposed to a full-fledged EPD, which is valid for 5 years. So the implication or the understanding is that after 18 months, you would have set up your manufacturing facility and you will have 1 year production data. So you will update your EPD. All right. Second thing, which the fourth thing that we have is project EPD. All right. So let's say you are producing an EPD which is specific to a project only. You are doing something special for a client, and that client wants to have an EPD. Then it is a 36-month validity. It is created for that specific project or that contract, and it should also have, of course, 1 year production data. All right. These are the different types of DPD. Based on your requirement, you can select what suits you best. All right. Even in the onboarding, they will also explain all of these things in detail for you. Okay. Next, who uses your EPD? Who is your end user, and why is it important for the future of manufacturing? The end user is architects, engineers, designers, developers. All right. Now, architects use, like for example, architects who are using one-click LCA will take one EPD and compare it with the next EPD. One-click LCA will say, okay, this is the impact of this EPD. They're like, okay, this is lower. Let's take this and go on. All right. So even if you want to get compliance with BREEAM or LEED, like for example, LEED has additional points if you have 20% of your products have EPDs. All right. So if you are conducting whole life cycle building LCAs, EPDs are probably the most accurate form of material data that is there right now. Okay. Manufacturers also use their EPDs to benchmark against their competitor products. Okay. Which significantly boosts your standing in the market. Okay. And use supplier EPDs for their own LCAs or for EPD calculations. Another thing that a lot of companies do is that they use EPDs as a marketing tool to stand out against their competitors. Like how APAR said, they are one of the only companies in India right now that has EPDs for this type of product, that is cable products. Okay. So it's a very useful resource. It creates additional income for you, and it also helps you stand out. Like there many times what happens is that clients, architects will just choose your product simply because it has this document. Okay. So EPDs enable building lifecycle assessment. So you can compare between two products. Okay, you can compare between two products. You can compare between three products. You can compare between products. Like for example, if you are getting a product which has an EPD from Finland, all right. So you have to from Finland to India, the miles add up. So you have to think about, is it worth it, right? Now, streamline creation of EPD with one-click LCA. Okay. So like I mentioned, you will have to collect the data based on the life cycle stages, that is A1 to A3. That's so you need your raw material extraction, transport to manufacturing site and manufacturing facility, actual manufacturing information. So you are actually trying to say what is the environmental impact as a result of producing this product. Okay. And next you have C1 to C4, that is end of life. Of course, if you are selling your product to Norway or something, there is no control. All right. This is a scenario based modeling. Okay. That is there. Now, how we make it easier. So, like I said, a one-click LCA, we are here to help you. Okay. Even if you're producing an EPD for the first time, it's okay. We will help you through the process. Okay. So the first one is data collection. So you will be assigned an EPD mentor. The EPD mentor will help you from 0 point. That is how to collect the data, how to check if your data is correct. All right. How to check if the data that you are collecting, like for example, I had one client where they are a window manufacturer. Okay. So if you are a window manufacturer, some parts come from some place and some parts come from another place. Like the sliders come from somewhere and the actual screws come from somewhere. But you have to understand how to allocate that in your EPD. Even though in an overall window, the metal part of it is only 5%, it has to be allocated properly. All right. So that is the reason we assign an EPD mentor for your product, and they will help you from data collection to mapping your plant data with one-click LCA data points to getting your LCA model, creating an EPD, creating an LCA report. All of this, of course, is automated, but the correctness of it, you need human intervention. That is why we have a mentorship program. Okay, if you are producing with if you are publishing with EPD Hub, we will also help you with third party verification and publication. The reason we work with EPD Hub, because it's very streamlined, it's very simple. It takes only 2 to 4 weeks to get your EPD published. Now at this time, I have to tell you, the quality of the data is very important to produce an EPD. Okay, I have had a client who has produced an EPD in 15 days, but that is because their data was so pristine. They were ready to go for this, and they had the data. All they wanted was a software to plug it in and produce EPDs. All right. So if you have very good data, then the quality of the EPD will be excellent. Okay, that is probably the most important part, getting the plant data, which is why we have onboarding. So in the onboarding program, of course, we have some fantastic colleagues who will also assist you in your first EPD. All right. You will also go through an onboarding course. Okay. So the ethos of the company is to spread the knowledge and for you to become independent. All right. Once you produce the EPD, all right, once you have gone through the onboarding, you will have enough knowledge to develop EPDs for your next how many ever products you want to produce. Okay, so you will go through a course, you will have an onboarding program, both of it will go parallel. Okay, so for example, let's say, if you are a consultant, okay, maybe you first start with let's say a concrete product, okay, but your next product is paint. Okay, the paint is a highly chemical product, which means you would require some help in modeling. So do not worry, we will also provide consulting. So it is better to take consulting from us and develop your EPDs. Okay, because we will help you with data point collection, we will help you with modeling, we will help you with any questions you might have, or any complications you might encounter while modeling your EPD. Okay, at the end of the onboarding course, you will also get a completion certificate, which is useful. You can add it for your to your resume. Um, of course, we also have like a lot of boot camps and such things. All right. The second thing that we have is a custom template. So I told you we have two ways in which we jumpstart our client's EPD process. One is the onboarding program, where you will have mentorship. Second is the custom template. So when you buy the software from one click, you are not buying an empty software. You will buy a software with data points that are pre-filled. Okay, so typical data that is there. So we have something called templates. Okay, so we have templates for cementitious products, metal products, wood based, plumbing, paints, coats, sealant, insulation, bitumen, flooring, ceramics and bricks. Okay, for example, let's take cement. Okay, so the 5 6 products, that the raw materials that is there for cement, so let's say clinker, sand, metal, GGBS, all of these data points will be already added into your account. All you have to do is plug in the values from your plant. Okay, if you have 5 products and you have a sixth, you can always add that data point. But these are the ways in which we help clients jumpstart. All right. Now, your EPD journey, of course, right, like I said, starts with why you want to do the EPD. Is it for business development? Is it for marketing? Or is it to capture a new market? All right. So you start with why you want to do this. Then, of course, you have to come up with an EPD development strategy. Okay, that is, you need to understand which product you want to start with. Okay, so usually the most commercial viable product is what people go with, their most sold product, they start with that. Right, next is, do you want to do like a grouping? All right, so for cable products, you can even do a scaling table. Like for example, if you have like in a variant of a cable, if you have a cable of 2.5 and the next cable that you have is 3, all right, and 3.5, 4.5, then you can do a scaling table that says that, okay, for every increase in diameter of 0.5, my GWP increases by delta. All right. So you can do a grouping, you can do scaling tables. These are all cost-effective ways of producing EPDs. All right. And next is data collection. Uh, you will have to collect the data from your plant, and the second is the EPD generation. All right. Now the software is not cannot just be used for EPD generation. You can also use it for eco design. All right. So that is producing an EPD is one of the aspects of the software. All right. You can also use the software for product development. So a lot of our clients also use our software for product development. They switch raw materials, they switch manufacturing processes so that they can get a like an environmentally friendly product. All right. Um, Next is using your EPD. That is, how do you want to use it? Whether you want to use it for marketing, you want to use it for building credits, all of that. So the last question is, would you like to generate automated and cost-efficient EPDs with one-click LCA? Please say yes in the poll. We will contact you. All right. So we have three more minutes, I think. Okay, so we can start with the live question and answer. If anyone has any questions, please do ask. I think there are a couple of questions. When you say 1 year of data, what kind of data exactly do you mean? So 1 year of production data involves 1 year of production data of that production product. Okay, so what is the energy that is being consumed in generating that product for over a period of 1 year? What is the wastewater? What is the raw material that you have used? So 1 year basically means stable production of one product over a span of 1 year. Okay, that is what 1 year production data means. I'll say, okay, I would like to source retail packaging such as solid containers, bulk, very competitive, low priced. Do you believe that conducting an LCA is feasible considering the expenses associated with LCA and EPD evaluation? See, these are economic metrics, all right? If the products that you want to get an EPD are very low or very competitively priced or low value items, but you are someone who wants to understand the impact of any product that you are selling, then of course there is a value to getting an EPD. All right. Or maybe your client is also asking, like there are lots of like as a normal consumer, I has switched from like paper bags to like regular cloth bags because they are more environmentally friendly. So you will start seeing shifts in your market itself. So if these things kind of happen, then you have to get EPDs to show the world that okay, my plastic bags or my paper cups are using recycled paper, things like that. All right. If I am interested in having an EPD, what should I do if my EPD has a negative impact on sustainability, such as harming nature? See, any product, all right? So let's say if you're taking a plastic product also, the degradation of a plastic product is for many years. Okay, it takes 100 years for a plastic product to break down. But plastic products also have EPDs. Okay, it really depends on what your use case is. That is, do you want to produce an EPD for your market, or is your client asking, or you want to be environmentally transparent of your products? Then you will produce the EPD. Okay, see, it's a good thing that you are producing an EPD for a product that has a negative impact. Through an EPD, at least you will understand what are the steps that I can take in order to produce uh, to produce environmentally friendly products. Okay, I think Rahul has joined the session, and Madan. Madan, is your connection stable?
Yes, yes.
All right. So maybe you can say a few words about your EPD journey with us, right? And if or how the EPD
So,
helps understand what is your environmental impact and such things.
yeah, thank you, Natasha, for covering the APAR part also.
No problem.
Regarding our presentation of EPD, and at the current scenario, if we want to be in the global market, it is very necessary to have declaration of our product environmental. So we that's why we go for the EPD. And with the EPD journey, really one-click LCA, that platform software, it helps a lot, because you know that in cable and conductor there are many products, and many products, and we purchase also from different sources. So one thing is that to get the EPD of each product, that is also not possible, and
Yes.
sometimes some means some suppliers they have, but they doesn't have published their EPD, because EPD doesn't just so it's the carbon emission, and it has many around more than 40 factors it has. So for that, when we go through the one-click LCA, so they have let we know that our product emission. Then we can go to the proxy data point. That facility have one-click LCA. So this all this for EPD, when we go for the software modeling, that time it helps a lot. And also our product came from the North America, and it comes through some let in North America it comes through lorry. So the impact of environment, impact of in North America and India, it is different. So in
Yes.
working LCA, that both the options are there. Accordingly, we can choose. So in that way, we can reduce our and first we know exactly how much environmental impact we have our product, and by proper data point also we can reduce many things, because when we go big data, because here in India many things, because here it is fossil fuel based, so here that impact was quite higher side. But when we are taking products from other countries, sometimes it is low. So that benefit also we got when we choosing that platform. And obviously I think Natasha have covered all the things it is already. And so this is our journey, and they have cooperated also, because first when we took training, our first EPD, we did from their guidance. And after that, we have our own team, and we did our LCA and data collection, data inventory. Then we model our software, and when we go for the third party audit, that time also they have option, and the one mentor is there. They help us if something is we had doubt for that. So now it is going smoothly, and we also there are many special EPDs like for green and all that we are going for. Thank you, One Click LC team, and also all the participants joining this. Okay.
Okay. There are a few questions, Madan. I think you can answer. There was one question that is, if I have to get an EPD, what is the data that I have to collect? Like when we say 1 year production data, what exactly do you mean?
Okay. So when you have a product procedure, how your product is manufactured. Let for they have given that example of a cake. We will take that. So to make a cake, we have to purchase some things. So that is the raw material. We know. Then from where we are purchasing, let we took from that purchase from the store. Then from there we can know where it has been manufactured. Let some product maybe we came from the foreign, some came from the Delhi, some came from Mumbai. So in that way we know able to know that okay, this product has manufactured in Delhi, and from Delhi to my home it come through the roadway or some means obviously it is assumption because it cannot become to flight or something. It is on the roadway. Then so your A1 is your products, and from that for bakery or some powder. Now you go for the data point. There you can take out all the data points from the software. And regarding the exact question about the data, so first is your raw material, you got it. Second is for how it is come to your home. It is come through some way. It is lorry or something. So that is the second thing. Third is okay. After getting that, what is the procedure I have followed? Okay, first I have added some water. Then water is one of my requirements in data, how much water has added. Then I did some procedure followed. In that procedure, how much energy has consumed, and that energy from where it comes. Okay, I took from solar energy. I may have solar, or I can took from the grid. Then grid have how much emission factor. In that way, you have all that data points from A1 to A3. Now here in EPD, we have to declare what happens at the end. Means what happens? Okay, I have made that K. Then because here it is a consumable, it is different. But let's a conductor for our product. We have manufactured conductor. Then we send to the part our customer, and they have used it for 50 years. Then after 50 years, what? How it impacts? Then these are data also required, because when we go for our product, we declare that okay, this is 50 year. After 50 years, my product, then it is a my, if it is a metal base, then okay, it will go for recycle. Then recycle, then how much we can able to recycle, and rest material, what we can do. It is landfill or it is incineration. What is the process? So all this procedure, that data we have collected. That's it. All the data point or data inventory, whatever you do. I think it is clear.
Yes, yes. Thank you, Madan. Another question is, what is the content of EPD in general?
Sorry, can you repeat?
What does an EPD contain? Like, what if you have to say in like one sentence, what would you say? That is the question.
Okay, as you know, that full form of EPD, Environmental Product Declaration. Okay, so your product, how much impacting the environment from his whole lifestyle, from getting from the cradle to grave, from means from the beginning of the raw material to the again it coming to the raw material stage. It means when it come to the end of the life. So that is whole our the EPD. How much it impacts with the environment, whether through air or water or air, whatever.
All right. I think that is the only questions that are there here. Abdul has asked, can you get EPDs for buildings? Actually, there is no third-party verification for buildings, but you can get green building certificates which use products which have EPDs. That is one question. Does the data requirement differ due to the impact category targeted? No. The impact category is always stable, all right, and the data requirement is also stable. That is A1 to A3 raw materials that you require has to be there in the EPD, and the impact is also stipulated by ISO and the EN standard already. So there is no difference in the calculation or the data requirement. Okay. Um, when you say, I think that's it. These are the questions, I believe. All right. Thank you so much, Madan. Thank you so much, Rahul, for joining the session.
Okay, thank you.
No
Thank you.
problem. Thank you, everyone else, also for taking the time and for joining the session today. I hope it was useful. We will also send the recording to you for anyone who has missed the session. All right. If you have any questions, you can also quickly write in the chat. I hope you have all answered yes to the poll so that we can contact you for EPD information. All right. Thank you. Have a nice rest of the day. Bye.